Alright guys, moving right along to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from my good friend Jason Voorhees 2011. Jason, thank you so much for the Patreon request and continued patronage. And as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can select the third tier. That'll allow you to send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube, as well as check out all the exclusive content over on Patreon as well. I think I just repeated myself for a second. Anyway, so this video, this Patreon request is gonna, as you can see, is gonna be fun because this one is a Transformers Powerpuff Girls crossover. Something technically we could have gotten from IDW. Like, really think on that. When IDW was doing Cartoon Network comics, we could have gotten a Transformers Powerpuff Girls crossover. Sadly, we didn't, but, you know, I wish that option was on the table. So here I am being tasked with picking up the pieces and giving you a crossover that should have happened. The city of Townsville. We begin our story at the lair of Mojo Jojo, who is currently working on his next invention. That said invention is basically a new death ray. And, however, he's built a death... The problem is he's run into the problem of, can God build a boulder so big that he can't move? He's run into that problem where he's made a death ray so sufficient he has nothing to power it with. He's tried oil, he's tried electricity, he's tried everything, and he's like, curses! I have built a death ray so powerful that it requires energy. Energy I do not have. Therefore, I must find new energy. But how? I must be able to find and locate this new energy source. Mojo Jojo, must find this new power source and bend it to my will. Therefore, I will have a power ray, and I will destroy the Powerpuff Girls. Curses. So that's what Mojo plans to do, is that he needs a new power source that he just does not have at the moment. He lacks the power source to power his new death ray. But he builds a tracker he builds a machine, like a little device, to locate new forms of energy that are undetected by the human eye. So Mojo heads out into the outskirts, like the city suburbs of, like the city limits of Townsville, and discovers a strange energy signature coming from a series of stones. And he starts mining it and discovers he discovers this blue shining element that's gooey and whatnot, and he's like, this is perfect. However, he didn't realize that's Energon. He has discovered raw Energon and wants to harness it for his new death ray. Now, obviously, the Energon detection over on the Nemesis has also caught wind of this new source of energy. So Megatron, Starscream, and Soundwave head out in order to find it in Townsville. Now, they're aware of the Powerpuff Girls. Like, they've been on Earth long enough to know about the metahuman element of the world. Like, they are very well aware of the metahuman boom that's going on in the world, and they're just like, for right now, let's just focus on the Autobots. You know, Megatron's not an idiot. He realizes that fighting a war on two fronts would be asinines, and God help the Decepticons, or rather Unicron help the Decepticons, if the metahumans and the Autobots join forces against the Decepticons. They'd be outnumbered. So for right now, Megatron's trying to keep the focus solely on the on the Autobots, but he needs Energon. His army needs Energon, and he takes Soundwave and Starscream with him, and the trio trace it all the way back to Mojo's lair, who's in the midst of powering his new Ultra Mega Death Ray, which immediately gets destroyed by Megatron. And he's like, "You, lesser primate, you dare use Cybertronian Energon to build your weapons?" He's like, "Who are you? I am Mojo Jojo. You have destroyed the machine, which I built through the Energon, which you claim to have. I, Mojo Jojo, is using that weapon to destroy the Powerpuff Girls. Not you, but I would gladly destroy you." So, Megatron and Soundwave is like, "Should we perhaps step in?" And Starscream's like, "No, I want to see how this goes." So Megatron and Mojo get into a fight. Until, like, Megatron is, like, fighting him in his own base, and Mojo is enacting robots and power suits, until eventually Mojo comes to the conclusion, wait, You have enemies that you want to destroy? I have enemies I want to destroy. Perhaps we should form an alliance, Megatron. And he's like, perhaps. So they shake on it, and Megatron introduces Mojo to Cybertronian technology. He sees how brilliant Mojo is, and what they plan to do is build a machine that will of Cybertronian technology forged by Mojo's hands that is going to affect the Powerpuff Girls first, and then that'll in turn allow them to fight the Autobots. So the Powerpuff Girl, we now finally get to the Powerpuff Girls, and the girls are just out on patrol, just having just flying around, having fun, when suddenly they get cut off by a flying jet, and they're like, "Whoa! Jet's not supposed to fly as fast as us." And he's like, and Buttercup's like, "Hey, jerk, we're flying here. This is get out of our airspace." And that's when the jet turns around, transforms into Starscream, and they're like, "Well, that's new." They're literally like, "So that's a new one." Starscream introduces himself as the future leader of the Decepticon Armada, and they're like, "Decepta what now?" So Starscream immediately gets heat blasted and punched profusely by the Powerpuff Girls, and he's like, "Megatron, where are you? You said you get me out of here." "Oh, I did. I'm sorry, Starscream. I was distracted." But then the girls get hit by a energy ray. That energy ray siphons out a majority of halves their powers, and then it's revealed that Mojo did it. He basically made a weapon made of Cybertronian, his technology, powered by Energon, to build a ray gun that would siphon their powers immensely. But that power isn't going to go anywhere. In fact, it's actually going to go into the Decepticons. It goes into Megatron, Soundwave, and Starscream. And he's like, "Yeah." Megatron's like, "Yes! With this power, I'll finally be able to crush Optimus Prime and the Autobots. You, Mojo, you, Jojo, you will build a bigger siphoning ray and use these humans as these meta-humans for our battery to create a new army to power." He's gonna siphon the girls for all they have, and then he's gonna give all that power to the rest of the Decepticons, and then they'll crush the Autobots, take over the planet, that whole spiel. And they promised Mojo a country, and they're like, "What country did you promise them?" And he's like, "Oh, Australia." I've got the timeshare there. But, however, during all the mocking, that's when a truck starts driving forward and actually knocks Megatron to his knees, and he's like, "What? You?" And that's when Optimus transforms, and he's like, "Autobots, transform and roll out." Bumblebee and Ironhide also reveal themselves, because they obviously picked up on the Energon signature too when Mojo discovered it. So they came to find it, but the Decepticons got here first, so they had to lay low. They actually fight. They do fight the newly powered Decepticons, but they have to fall back. They get the girls and hightail it out of there. Meanwhile, Mojo and the Decepticons are just having a blast. They're having just a grand old time, wrecking Townsville with Mojo just like, "This is awesome." But the Autobots take the girls back to Professor Utonium's house, where Professor Utonium sees the girls, and he's like, "My girls! Giant robots! My girls!" So, the girls are severely weakened, and they're like, "Who are you? I thought, aren't you with those other robots?" And Optimus explains, "Before time began." That whole and when he's like, "Before time began," and that's when Bumblebee goes, "Optimus, usually I like your speech, but can you speed it up a bit? Can you give us the abridged version? We're kind of on borrowed time here." So Optimus says, "We'll help you. Professor Utonium's like, we don't I don't have the ability. I don't know what Mojo did to my girls, they're depowered. I don't know if I can help them or not. He's like, understand, Professor, we will help you. So Utonium uses a machine that he quickly builds a machine that will take a bit of Energon and give it to the girls, like a reverse of what Mojo did to them to reinvigorate them. He actually creates a new element called Energon X. So with Energon X, he uses it to empower the girls and soup them up, and help the Autobots fight back against the Decepticons and Mojo. So, meanwhile, back in Townsville, Megatron has just destroyed City Hall, and he's got Miss Bellum and the mayor all caged while Starscream's like antagonizing them. That's also when he's like, ha ha ha, you puny little humans, and that's when Miss Bellum throws the mayor throws a pickle jar into one of his Starscream's optics. Ah! You foolish humans! See, Starscream? This is what happens when you bother little animals that you shouldn't. It's about that time when the Autobots, Powerpuff Girls return, and they're like, hold it right there, Decepticreeps. So, fight breaks out. The girls take on the Decepticons, while Mojo has to battle the Autobots. And Mojo's using a new mechanized suit that he took from Cybertronian technology, and he's battling them. However, the problem was Mojo didn't tell the Decepticons that power was finite, and they actually run out of the power. Obviously, the Energon X wears out on the girls as well, but the reason why Mojo never told Megatron and the others was because, I was going to betray you and take over the world. You think I'm stupid? So the Decepticons are forced to retreat, and Mojo is thrown back in prison by the end of it. The girls part ways, and once again, the day is saved, thanks to the Autobots and the Powerpuff Girls. So there you go, guys. That's your Transformers Powerpuff Girls crossover. Once again, I'd like to thank Jason Voorhees 2011 for this crossover idea, and you guys tell me in the comments below what you guys think of it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.